I'm a very, very busy person. I love traveling. I just love to inspire people. And I recently moved to Brooklyn, New York, which has been a dream of mine for a
Wow.
very long time, ever since I was 16. I was still in high
Mm.
school. I was in the Thespian Honor Society. I love theater. And right now, I am in a theater troupe for neurodiverse actors.
Oh, and tell us where you're going to school because that's also incredible.
Yes, I'm going to school at Juilliard. I just finished up all my classes yesterday, actually.
Wow. Congratulations.
And I'm thinking about auditioning and applying for another program in the fall.
Oh, I wish you all the best of luck with that. That's
Thank
fantastic.
you. It's going to be hard. It was hard to get in the first time. I've been trying for the better part of, wow, I can't remember. It was many years
Mm.
because I started when I first started going to college when I was back in Florida, and I got rejected many, many times. So it was a wild ride.
Yeah. How old were you when you were diagnosed? And what, or maybe when you even discovered for yourself that you were autistic?
Okay, well, I was diagnosed when I was 3 years old, and everyone says that I'm a bit of a rarity in that respect because a lot of girls don't get diagnosed until they're much older. But my mom was a nurse, and she had a big hand in getting me diagnosed early, so I thank her for that. But I think another part in my early diagnosis was the fact that I was non speaking up until the age of 5. So everybody could tell that there was something not quite right with me. I would just basically, I wasn't talking, I would not play with the other kids. So it was obvious that I needed to have an early intervention. So I don't know why, as a girl, I was showing more. So, but I like to talk about it. And,
That's
and
great.
I like to say that everyone's not the same. We all have something beautiful about
Yeah.
us.
Oh, isn't that the truth? And
And I never really got the adult human thing because I feel like I'm a mixture of both. Like, I grew up around adults, I'm an only child. Everyone said I'm really mature for my age, but at the same time, even right now, everyone tells me, "Oh, you need to grow up. You're 26 years old." Like I'm a big kid in real life. I like cartoons. I love collecting my stuffed animals.
yeah.
So I've never really been the adult human who felt the need to grow up. I just think that you need to be childlike and
Mm.
always have that little kid spirit in you because the life's too short to grow up.
Isn't
And
that
I don't
true?
know. I don't know what happened with me.
Oh, you turned out perfectly. That's what happened is that, now you can live this life and travel and do the things, but it's still okay that you watch whatever you want and you collect all of the things you want. And I love that we're normalizing individual humanism, right? Like we can all just be humans and enjoy our own interests and our own ideas. And all we need is for people around us to just say, yeah, I support that. I accept that. Not to question, oh, that doesn't look right. That seems off. That's, like who is anyone to judge what anything is everyone is so diverse and different. I wish that they would embrace that.
Definitely. Like, I was always going to social skills groups as a kid. And that was one thing I noticed about the gender divide. Like girls were always expected to grow up, but boys, they can watch their cartoons and even into adulthood. And I see this in my drama troupe all the time. Like you have boys well into their 30s watching Disney and they don't care, but the girls have to grow up for some reason.
Mm.
And that's something I admire about autistic boys. They have their interests that might be childlike and they don't care what anyone says. And I think that autistic girls can learn from that. I think that there's so much about our community that the whole world can learn from. And that's a lot that I want to talk about, really.
Yeah, absolutely. Tell us about kind of the supports you got throughout your school experiences.
Well, I must say, like, one of the things that I want to talk about is that the support I got in school, it's changed so much. And it makes me feel really happy, but I think, wow, why did I not have that when I was a kid? For example, I mean, I know that my school was trying their hardest, but I think that they could have done better. I know that I would go, for example, I moved schools a lot.
Mm.
So when I went to a public elementary school, I went to my little autism therapy groups right in front of the whole class.
Mm.
So that kind of just shows everybody that you're different, and then
Yeah.
they talk about you behind
Yeah.
your back, but it was fun. I enjoyed it. I benefited a lot from occupational therapy, physical, and musical as well. I would listen to opera tapes for hours,
Mm.
and I know my family would help me with that a lot. They had all these CDs, and I'd listen to them. And I just think without my family's help as well, I wouldn't have been where I am today. I would say my mom, being a nurse, she read a lot of books about autism, the autistic child, which are probably outdated now, but she did what she could as she worked with babies. She started out as a neonatal nurse. And before my diagnosis, yes, even when I was a baby, I would go to the hospital where she worked and I would observe. She'd always take me to work and that's how we would connect.
Mm.
I always enjoy that. Those are my special
I
memories, and
love
I do
that.
the same with my dad too. I like hanging out with him. Food is always a special memory for me because he's Italian, and
Oh.
I'd say my grandma and grandpa. Now I have a special memory with my grandpa because with music, he's the least musical. Well, he died, but when I was a kid, he's the least musical person in the world because he was a hockey player and he went pro and and then he turned into a businessman. But he had these CDs by this conductor called Pierre Montel,
Mm.
a Frenchman, and he thought I would love listening to them. And the CD was of the opera Carmen. I love that
Oh,
opera.
yes.
So I listened to those opera tapes for hours on end, and if it wasn't for the conductor and his operas, I would probably be talking through an iPad right now. I wouldn't be here
Wow.
doing this interview. So I'm very thankful
Oh
for
my
my
gosh.
grandparents.
Rachel, that's amazing. I got chills. I literally just got chills. That's so incredible. And thank you to
But
Grandpa. We missed
it
you.
also shows why music is very important for the mind and for autism healing and just for our well-being. It's amazing what music can do for our brains.
Mhm.
Another important thing to acknowledge is that the spectrum is not just boys and girls, and it's not just one black and white sexuality. There's so many things that
Yeah.
make our community colorful and amazing, but the media just portrays us as one thing.
Yeah.
And something I talk about a lot.
Yeah, it's really hard to help those in your community that only get that perspective, that have
Yeah.
that one perspective. And you come, me for my family, I come and then like, oh, well, here's a dad, a mom, a daughter, and a son. We're all autistic. We all look different. We all have so many our personalities, and everything about us couldn't be more polarized from one another. It's like, how do we really even get along? No, just joking. But I think it's so special, and it creates this like beautiful working machine that now that we all know, we can all, and like I said, some of us, like my son, maybe doesn't really have the understanding of how he can support us, but we can all understand how we can support him, and he knows how he fits in our family. And I think that is so special, and it's such a great example to what we can show to the world moving forward.
I love that.
It's
And I
fun.
think I think it's a wonderful thing because a lot of people in our world think that autism still is like Rain Man or the Big Bang Theory, where it's a white autistic male who's really smart and good at math, but it's just so many other things.
Yeah.
And we can break those stereotypes.
Yeah, exactly. And we're doing it. We're doing it here today, right now, and you're doing it in so many big ways, so many big ways. So let's talk a little bit about, oh my gosh, where do we start? Um, well, let's start with things that have already happened, and then we'll talk about things that are going to be happening next.
Okay.
um, so, kind of tell us out of high school, I mean, how was it going into college? Is the acceptance so much better now?
Well, well, I went to a lot of colleges, so I'll try to break it down.
Yeah.
The first one, I started out going to a community college because I wanted to save money. So I thought that was a smart idea. And the acceptance was great. I just thought it was a lot better, but high school was good too. And I thought it was a lot better than junior high because I immediately had to get out of there once I was kind of forced out.
Yeah.
So that sucked, but I never really went to a public school after that.
Hmm.
But once I got there, I mean, everyone was so accepting, and I
Mhm.
wasn't expecting that at all. And the same happened in college. All of them, even Juilliard.
Oh,
So
I love that.
I think that a lot of parents of children and adults with autism have this thing where they think that public school is going to be very intimidating and that my kid's going to be made fun of. So that's why private school is going to be a good option, but it isn't. I feel like that the kids in private school are even more ruthless.
Mm.
It's very exclusionary.
Mm.
If you're different and you don't belong there, then it's going to not be for you. And that's probably the worst option ever.
Hmm.
At least
Yeah.
it was for me. But in public school, it was the best option
Mm.
because there were a lot of autistic kids there and nobody bothered them. They were accepted. Everyone was really nice to
That's
them.
great.
And that made me very happy.
Yeah, I love to hear that too. And I can only hope for the same with my kiddos, that someday, we'll find some really great schools and programs that will help assist and support them on their journey. So after let's see, what should we move on to next? Let Miss Florida. Let's do that. Let's talk about that. So, how did you get into pageantry?
Well, we'll start with the beginning. I started pageants at 5 years
Oh
old
my
because
gosh.
in Florida, that's one of the states where you do pageants as a child. And it was a way for me to make friends and socialize. And my mom wanted me to do that. But I wasn't, we weren't really fans of the big dresses and big hair and makeup. I sort of entered the pageants wearing a dress that we had from like Goodwill or something. And I just wore my hair normally and I didn't win anything, but I had fun. And
Yeah.
I kept doing this till fourth grade, but I wanted to focus on school. I cared about my studies even when I was a child. But then I continued in middle school because I liked being on stage, and now here I am.
Wow. And then what was it like to finally be up there and hear your name? What was it, just like chills and everything?
Yeah, I actually wasn't expecting to win because I must have tried this pageant at least 7 times and I
Wow.
didn't win. But I didn't care. I mean, I love the system, I love what it stands for.
Yeah.
And I just loved going back and meeting people, making new friends,
Yeah.
seeing old faces, and I just didn't
Mm.
care.
Hmm. And what kind of events and stuff are you doing now?
Well, what I'm doing now, well, these events were fairly recent. I had a photo shoot for the pageant. I had a radio interview talking about upcoming events. I have my clothing line that was released.
What? I didn't even know that. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I collaborated with an artist and designer, and they put my logo, the infinity symbol logo with the crown on it, and
Oh,
it's all over
great.
the dresses, shoes, and all that
Oh,
stuff.
Rachel, that's exciting. Congratulations. I didn't know that part.
It's on my Instagram. I've been debuting the clothes and what they
Oh,
look like.
gotta go on
And,
Instagram more. Note.
and I have a book coming out too. It's called Something Beautiful.
Oh, that's fantastic. Oh my gosh, I that's gonna be wonderful. That's I was gonna say earlier, you said I should write a whole book. And I was like, yep, yep, you need to. You need to write a book. So
There's a lot of books I want to write, but it's like I'm very busy. But
time.
this one I managed to collaborate with Archie Comics because it's a children's book.
Yes.
So I I collaborated with them. It's illustrated by Archie and
Wow.
it's about my autism journey.
Rachel, that's amazing. I love Archie comics when I was younger. I mean, that was like my favorite. That's interesting too. I'll have to come back to that in my mind later. My idea that I liked comics back then. That's funny. Yeah, wow, those are so exciting. And just recently, I had the amazing opportunity to also interview Roxana Lewis, who is, oh my gosh, what a
Oh
human! What a
yeah.
human! She's just beautiful. How
Yeah.
was working on Mandy's voice, and what was that opportunity and experience like?
Oh yeah, I was in Mandy's voice and you should see that coming up soon this year.
Yay.
But
Oh,
what was it like? It was very interesting. A lot of stuff happened on set, but the beginning of it was something that provoked my activism very
Mm.
much. They I guess they must have found me on Instagram and asked me to do the role of Mandy, who's a non-speaking autistic girl. And I said, well, I think that we should cast an actual non-speaking actress. And so they tried to, but nobody well, they did find a few, but no, there's a lot of sensory issues that the
Mm.
actors had, and we have to be mindful of that. But this is something I really believe as an actress and someone who's neurodiverse. I think that we should give opportunities to people who don't get them. But
Mm.
it wasn't working. So I took the role, and I was non speaking for 5 years of my life. So I went back to that little girl in me,
Yeah,
and it turned out to be really authentic.
I love
We
that.
showed it to a lot of moms and families of non speaking people, and they said my performance was really, really good.
Mm.
And I loved it. I loved being on set,
Mm.
and it was
Wow.
just an amazing experience.
Oh, I can't wait to see it. And, it's been so great. I've, been able to connect with you and Amy and Roxana now. And it's like the whole picture, though. I can't wait to see the whole thing and put all my friends' faces together. It's going to be incredible. What do you have coming up in your life next?
Oh, wow. Well, well, a lot of events for Miss Florida for America. I know I'm gonna have to fly back home to Florida, and we have a fun little pageant called Miss Rodeo River Ranch or
Oh.
Rodeo. I don't know. It's like a little. I don't. They're kind of like iffy on the title. They don't know if it's gonna be a rodeo or something like a river ranch. I don't know, but I do know there's going to be horses,
Oh.
and I rode horses for the better part of my life, and I hope I get to ride a horse.
Yeah.
But it should be rodeo. Like I was talking to the people running it, and I'm like, why are they pronouncing it rodeo like Rodeo Drive? I mean, like, are we dressing up like? Are we gonna be hot? I don't know.
It has been so, so fun to chat with you today. Let people know your Instagram, Facebook, and places they can find you.
Yes, my Instagram is Rachel Barcelona XO. Facebook, you can find me at Rachel Barcelona Ability Beyond Disabilities. I'm also on Twitter, Barcelona R, if anyone still uses Twitter, but I do, and it's really fun.
Oh, I need to use it more often and get on Instagram a little bit more often. I'm like a Facebook. It's the oldness, right? It's because I'm a mom.
Yeah.
That's where all the moms live on Facebook. Too funny. Rachel, thank you so much. And it's just you're such a bright, shining light for the world to learn so much from and gain so much value in watching you. And thank you for letting us be a part of your journey.
Oh, no problem. I love it, and I love meeting so many new people along the way.
Yeah, it is so much fun to do that. It's connections are my favorite things, I think, and through Zoom, we can do this globally and it's incredible the connections we can make with people. So, thank you so much and we will definitely be in touch.
Yay, thank you.